we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to our Future Focus series. Today's guest is Richard Houdeman from Consumers Energy. This kind of focuses on the pathway of business, marketing, and finance, kind of the business behind the business. So please note that guests of our Zoom webinar today will have view-only capabilities and do not have access to video or audio. Please use the chat feature to ask any questions that you may have. I will be monitoring to ensure that any answers are gathered that you may need. And this session is being recorded. So Richard, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm glad you could be here. Tell us a little bit about what you do, your title, and your role with Consumers Energy.
Well, I am the, thanks for having me on today. I'm really excited to be here. I am the Community Affairs Manager for Consumers Energy. I have a 3-county area with Muskegon, Ottawa, and Newaygo counties. And it kind of the focus of my role is to bring the things we do with the company to the communities we serve, and then help our company understand the communities we serve better. So we just try to keep that relationship strong and know what each other is going on.
That's sounds like a very important role for a business to have. And really the focus that we're talking about today is, the business, marketing, and finance. And like you said, important part of that is community relationships, because anytime students, as you're driving by places like Mercy Health, maybe you're driving by ADAC or Herman Miller or Consumers Energy, there's always the business behind the business. You drive by Mercy Health, you think doctor, nurse for sure. You drive by Consumers Energy, you think the lineman, and whenever our power's out, how are we going to get our power back on? But there is the business behind the business. So tell us a little bit about that business behind the business, what you do as far as community relations, but what are some other aspects within the business of Consumers Energy that you work with on a daily basis?
Well, every day is a new challenge, right? So, and opportunity. So, I think about, we have a lot of nonprofits that want to do great things in our area. And one of the things that Consumers Energy does is we invest in those. Like, we're very strong with United Way, and I'm on the United Way board. And so we want to be embedded in the community and understand where we can make strategic investments with those entities that are really on the forefront of helping the community. That's just one example. I'm on various nonprofit boards, and we give a lot to our lower income folks that need help with their utilities. Another thing that we do is we have city, municipal leaders that may want to do a project, or maybe they have this, street light they just can't seem to get fixed. I kind of help with those type of things. It's, folks don't always have a great experience sometimes, unfortunately, calling our 1-800 number. So I may kind of help shortcut some things if the process isn't playing out like they hoped or the way it needs to. So, those are some of the things that I try to do to help the communities move forward with things that are important to them.
That sounds really important. And I'm sure too, you work very closely with probably like aspects of marketing or finance within Consumers Energy in order to work with those nonprofits. You probably need to know what your bottom line is, or how you get that information out to the public of how you can help them. So I think that's really, really awesome. So think back to when you were in middle school or high school. Did you ever think that you would be doing what you're doing today?
Absolutely not. My folks, my parents growing up were hardworking individuals. They didn't go to college, but they were really hardworking and great at what they did. And I was my dad was in the Navy, and I was kind of thinking, maybe I'll just go in the Navy, and I didn't really, while I was in high school, I didn't give college a whole lot of consideration. But I had, while I actually went to it's a quick story. I went to the actual naval offices to get signed up and all that. And I had a heart murmur when I was 16, and it wasn't a big deal. They had to just check it out and verify that I was good to go to progress. But it gave me enough time to really think about it. And I decided that it was a sign. And I decided to go to college at that point, and it worked out. So, I mean, in short, no, I mean, and I think that's okay. Folks can, students can not be sure exactly what they're going to do. You do have to figure out it eventually, but it's okay, I think, to not be too stressed about not having that sign or that vision while you're in high school of what exactly it is you want to become or what you want to do.
Sure. And I think that's a lot of times what we tell students is you're not supposed to have it all figured out at 18.
Yeah. Hmm.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
But our
Yeah.
role is, as we support students as career specialists here at the ISD, is to kind of walk that journey with them, help them be
Yeah.
exposed,
Mhm.
have experiences, and prepare as best they can. So they might have a direction, and can kind of start going in that general direction. And then as they start to have
Yeah.
experiences more and more, they start to hone it in. So you talked about, you went to college. What did that look like for you? Was it a community college, a 4-year? And,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
what was your degree or credentialing in?
Yeah. First of all, Michelle, would have loved to have had someone like you in my life at the time in high school. I think it would help me out a lot. I'm glad that students do today. Um, so I went to the junior college route, community college, and it was great. It was affordable, and I was given, had quality education opportunities there before I transferred to Grand Valley State, and where I got I finished with my bachelor's in public administration. And public administration affords someone to work in the municipal management sector. Like maybe you engage with your city or your township or your county. Maybe that it qualifies you to do leadership roles in those organizations, and that's kind of what I did before I came to this role. I was the assistant city manager in Coopersville and in the city of Kentwood, and found my way here. But municipal management was really interesting to me, and I found I had a knack for it, and still work with a lot of municipal managers in this role because our street lights and our poles and everything are in communities, right? So
Right.
I actually have a lot of great relationships already with folks in this role because of what I used to do.
Oh, that's great that you took all that into this aspect of it. And like you said, this is kind of um, I see it as kind of a public relations,
Mhm.
almost kind of
Yeah,
role, as you're
yeah,
working with the community, but you're also have the mindset of consumers' energy and how they can help each other, which I think is a great marrying. And to be honest with you, I don't know when I was in high school if I ever would have thought when I thought business, yeah, you think finance and you might even think marketing. How do you market that business?
mhm,
I always thought HR, right? You got to manage the people that are working
mhm,
for you. I
yeah,
don't know that I would have ever thought of there was a role like yours. And to be honest with you, how the working world is changing, so many jobs are coming about that have never been
mhm,
thought of before. So
sure.
I don't
Mhm,
know how long your role has
mhm,
been in play, but
mhm,
it's obviously a part of that business aspect. So tell
sure.
us about your early days of college.
Yeah.
Was it difficult to choose what you wanted to go into, or did you, like when you were at community college, how did you kind of gear towards that public administration lane? What
Yeah. Well,
experiences got you there?
mhm. Well, it was I wasn't exactly sure. With the beauty about community college and transferring to a 4-year institution is that everybody, no matter what you're going to do, and a lot of the students have heard this probably, is you got to take the same classes no matter what. So I didn't have to stress out about it too early. But as I got toward the end of my community college career, I realized that I had a real affinity for the look of a community and the
Mm,
vibe that a community gives its residents. And um, I really started to just get involved with that, and had an internship with the city of Grand Haven, and decided that's what I really wanted to do. And I got into public administration with a city planning emphasis. So kind of decides where all the stuff goes,
Yeah.
um, kind of the look of your community, and so that's what it really got me excited about it, and that's why I pursued that.
Okay. And, and we've heard that on some of
Hmm.
our past future focus series, that importance of internships, whether you have
Hmm.
those in high school or job shadows in high school, or whether you have an internship while you're in college, those seem to
Hmm.
be very helpful in kind
Yeah.
of helping to make those decisions. Would you agree?
I would. And what really, Michelle, what I think what's important for students to know is that relationships are really important, your whole life, and networking, and asking questions, and um, you know sometimes you have to give to get, whereas when you're learning and you don't have a lot of experience, a lot of folks will give you a chance to work with them. You may not make a lot of money or any money, and that's hard to do, right? Because we all need money to put in our gas tank, and and go out for a pizza. We need to do that. But sometimes if you can get around an environment you really want to be a part of, don't be afraid to ask questions, because a lot of folks will surprisingly want to help. you know Sometimes, like, what even in what I do over the years, if it's so fun to relive my earlier years of coming up and helping someone as they try to get to where they want to go. And so there are a lot of good folks out there that want to help folks like students here today.
Yeah, I think that's important. Networking,
Hmm.
I always tell my girls, you never know. Keep those bridges open, because you never know when you
Hmm.
might be need to knock on a door and ask for a reference, or ask for,
Yeah.
hey, I remember when you. It really is
Hmm.
important in getting to where you want to go. You talked about kind of working your way up. You've had a lot of experiences, obviously, in the public sector.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, like with consumers energy, are there positions that you can get in on the ground floor with very little educational background in business or marketing or
Yeah.
finance, or what you do?
Yeah, I've heard of a lot of folks. I've only been here about 6.5 years, but I work with many people that have been here for 30, and I've never worked
Wow.
anywhere for hardly any more than 6 years. So it's hard for me to get my head around that.
Yeah.
But what a lot of folks, when they were 18, 19, 20 years old, they went to work in the storeroom. They were meter readers. They were the janitorial services, and they worked their way up over the years, got training along the way. And so there are, our customer service representatives. Those are great opportunities. Not all of our jobs here require a 4-year degree, but it's always good to have some training. But we do have about 8,500 jobs statewide. We have tree trimmers. We contract
Yeah.
with Trees Inc. to keep all our lines clear. So when storms come, we don't have a ton of outages. Now we still get them sometimes, but
Yep, that
we try
happens.
to, yeah, we try to be preventive. But they're just a wealth of opportunities that
That's
folks can
awesome.
find here.
That's awesome to hear. And I think, you hit on an important point, is that you're never going to stop learning.
Right.
And for those people that started out
Mhm.
maybe at an entry level with maybe very little training, have been able to work their way up, but they've gotten training along the way to land them
Yes.
where they. And so that's really important. So when you were working in the public sector, what made you decide you wanted to switch over to a business like Consumers Energy? What kind of drove that ship?
Well, honestly, it was networking once again. I didn't even know this opportunity was afforded or out there. I had a friend called me. I worked for he was a board member of an organization I worked for, and years ago. I mean, and he knew me, and he knew I was local still, and thought I'd be a good fit, or I should at least look at the position. So I did, and boy, after talking about it and learning all the things that I would do that are similar to what I would do, but in a different light, I just got really excited, and I thought it was a really awesome opportunity, because I had been commuting about an hour each way
Oh,
to
wow.
Grand Rapids area from my home in White Lake area, and to be able to be much closer to home was very exciting. I could see more of my family's activities. It was great. So again,
Yeah.
but I'll just go back. It's just keeping an open mind, and keeping your head out there of what opportunities could be there for you is just great.
Yeah, like you said, you didn't even know this opportunity was available.
Mm-mm.
So,
No.
and somebody knew you from way back when and said,
Yeah.
"Hey," and so that's so. If we
Hmm.
talk about a day in the life of Rich Houderman at Consumers Energy, what does that look like?
Wow, that's interesting. So, okay, so I have a various amount of boards I sit on. So I may go to a board meeting, and whether it's United Way or Regional Planning Commission, and just trying to help our company support the good things that happen in our area. And I may get a call from the city of North Muskegon about a street light. It's like, Rich, we really need to get this fixed, and our neighborhood really is, they don't want their kids at the bus stop, standing in the dark. We've been trying to call it in. Can you help us out? Sure. So that may be at like 10 o'clock in the morning. And I may get different sponsorship requests, like the Y Camp Pendaluan may have an event going on, and they're trying to raise money to support the activities of the Camp Pendaluan. So I have a community budget, back to finance.
Yep.
So I set up a spreadsheet, and I have my budget, and I'm like, okay, can I afford to make a contribution to this? And so I'll do that, and I'll make that kind of consideration. And um, I have all the hydros. So maybe I'll put together a tour to go through the Hardy Dam or the Campbell
Ooh.
plant, which is our coal plant down in South Grand Haven, and make sure folks have a nice experience when they get to know what we do when we generate electricity. So um, those are just the various types of, every day is completely different, but it's a lot of fun. I'm really lucky to have solar, gas, coal, and hydro all in my area. So I really
Wow.
have a wide variety of, not only do we distribute energy where I work, but we also generate it, which is really exciting. So it's a lot of fun.
That is really awesome. And like you said, there's never a dull moment, probably,
Mhm.
because your days are going to look very, very different. Um,
Mhm.
so what would you say is one of the toughest things about your job?
Well, in public relations and in customer service, sometimes people do have a tough experience. I found out through an electrician up in Newaygo County that we had a customer who experienced a tree that came down on their service that connects to their mast. Everybody has a meter on their house, right? And then there's
Hmm.
a mast that we call a mast on the top, and there's a line that runs out to the street typically. Well, a tree came down and disconnected that. Well, for whatever reason, we didn't quickly restore that. And these folks had to move out of their house, ran a generator for 3 weeks to keep their house at 50 degrees.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
I'm just being, hey, this happens,
Yep.
so I find out, I'm like, I'm so sorry. So my job was to try to find some ways to restore relationship with that customer, you know. So I'm talking with my leadership, like, listen, we have to do something for these folks. They weren't in their house at Christmas, So,
Oh, no.
they're tough.
Yeah.
There are tough days. I mean, we do a lot of great things, and it's really fun to give an organization a grant. That's all really fun stuff. But when you have 2 million customers in our electric area, there are some times when you have to just own a problem and do the best you can to make the customer feel like you care, and they were satisfied with what you tried to do to make up for a mistake.
Yeah, and I think, really customer service, you kind of talk about that a little bit, is really a skill that is almost in every job you're ever going to have.
Hmm.
My job in
Yeah.
education, my customers are students. And so I have to have a level of
Hmm.
customer service in
Yeah.
banking, in healthcare.
Hmm.
So it's really a valuable skill. And I always tell kids, those jobs that you might have at Burger King or McDonald's and you don't think
Yeah.
they're really worth anything, man, they're teaching you a boatload of customer service and you're going to need it.
Yeah.
What are some of the skills that you think are important? We just talked about customer service, but what are some of the other skills that you think are really, really important in doing what you do?
That's a good question. I think you need to learn you need to be able to communicate well. And that could come off in different ways, right? So whether it's email, whether it's PowerPoint presentation, um, how can you tell your story effectively and in a way that's easy to understand? And um, so PowerPoint, I would say, I mean, it's getting archaic. I mean, there are other platforms like oh gosh, I think there are other presentation software that are coming online, but PowerPoint's just been the standard for a long time.
Yeah.
I really find Excel a very valuable tool. um, it does a lot of quick computations, basic computations, um, and I've found Excel's probably been one of the best tools that I have over my whole career. I've used
Oh, wow.
Excel in every job I've ever had, and PowerPoint too. Those are good combos. Um, I would say, yeah, that those are some really key attributes to understand, and just staying up on technology in general, and
Yeah.
is
And
is is a
as
good
it,
both. Hmm.
yeah. And as it changes so quickly, it's helpful
Hmm.
to have those things.
Yep.
What are, you were talking about, the technologies that you use, and how would
Mhm.
somebody maybe get their foot in the door, with working in business or working in finance, marketing in a job like yours on the business aspect of a business? How could somebody get their foot in the door?
Well, um, I definitely think those are very specialized skills. When you're going to do that work specifically, you definitely need training. There's no
Yeah.
question. Um, I definitely, we have, Consumers has great internship programs around a lot of positions like supply chain. Um, so supply chain, you may have heard, your students may hear about this. It's like, if you really wanted a gaming system for Christmas, and your mom or dad or grandma or someone says, we can't get it, due to supply chain issues. And you're like, what is that? Well, that means it's not available or because
Right.
it got hung up somewhere or there aren't enough parts to make so we have people that specialize in supply chain. Um, I don't know where I was going with that, but I guess we have a lot of internships in various parts of our business that um, we get people experience, and they can maybe stay with us or maybe they'll go work with someone else, but we get them. They have some base training in the software required to navigate in working with someone like us. So
That's awesome.
what's really important too is that you find out what employers want. As you're
Mm,
going, maybe you're getting this training after high school. What are employers looking for?
right.
How can I tool my learning if I have a decent idea what I want to become, what I want to do? What should my training look like to get there? And
Mm.
um, I don't know. That's just a thought on that.
No, I think that's really great. Find out what you need for whatever
Hmm.
your goal is, and then make sure you get to do that.
Hmm.
What would you say for a student that's in middle school or high school and they're looking to take some classes? If you remember some of the classes that might have been available to you in high school, um, what would be some good classes for students to take if they wanted to do a job like yours or a job in business? What would be some good classes in high school for them to take?
I was never into DECA. or you know, debate, or a lot of things like that. I think critical thinking is really important right now. I think it's you know, having an open mind and a great attitude. I know those are soft skills, you know, but you know, I think it's just as important to be able to um, set yourself up for getting your attitude and your mind right as you go forward. And I think those types of things I think are really important. And because technology is always going to change, and but you know, and you'll change too. But it's I think those are some things about like how can you have a conversation or discussion with someone. You know, we and and hear what they're saying, and you know, not listening to respond, but you know, learning from the person you're talking to, even if you don't agree with them. You know, learning how to have a conversation, and be present when you're learning. You know, I think we have a lot of distractions that hit us, right? Like, you know, I'm talking to you guys right now, and I hear my phone buzz. You know, do I
Yep.
have a temptation to look at it? Yeah, but I don't. You know, because I'm really glad to just be here with you guys, and I want to have a quality experience. And I think folks that may take a chance on you guys later when it's in your interview, or they're going to look for your ability to be present and be positive and be a good team contributor. So just keep those things in mind down the road.
That is really, really good advice.
Mhm.
Um, and I think, you know, especially in your line of work, being
Mhm.
present in a conversation. I know somebody told me, and hopefully I say it right. Are you listening to respond to talk, like you were saying, or are you listening so you can be a part of the conversation? Because many times we find that we listen, but we're already thinking of the response in our head and how we're going to interject in that conversation, what we have to say, rather than listening to what somebody else has to say and maybe how you can enrich that conversation. That's a really, really hard skill and a really, really good skill to have.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I appreciate you mentioning that. Um, so as we wrap up, if you had to talk to a middle school or high school student directly and they said, wow, Mr. Howdeman, what would be your nugget of advice that you would give me? What is the one thing that I should know going forward if I want to do something in business or even my life after high school? What would be your one nugget of advice for them?
You know, you are your own business, and
Mm,
just design your business, which is you, the way you want to be in your life. Because you may have different jobs. I've had different jobs. I've always tried to be a respectful and strong contributor to whomever I worked for, but I'm always, I have to always make sure I'm right. You know, not correct, but I always have to make sure that, you know, I've been working since I was your guys' age. I've been working on building me. So regardless of the environment I'm in, I can be what I want to be and then
mm,
feel good about that. So just keep working on the person you want to become, and you'll find the right opportunities that speak to you. So you're not, when you go to bed on Sunday night and you're going to work on Monday morning, you're just like dreading that. You're like, oh, you get excited. You don't even, you know, I'm so lucky, guys. I don't even think about it. I may work till 6, you know, or whatever. I mean, I may work a weekend storm duty, but I love my job so much. I don't even think about it. I just really love what I do. And your work-life balance will work out if you love what you do. And I guess that's just all I could advise, Michelle, is just
mm.
work on you and build yourself, build you into the company you want to be.
I think that's really great advice because, you know, sometimes that work-life balance becomes, you know, a thought in our head. But I think truly, if you do enjoy what you're doing, it doesn't feel like work at all. It feels like it's an extension of you. And so you do want to find something that you connect with, that you have a strong interest in, that you're passionate about. It does make it much better in your overall life. And you want to have, a really happy work life as much as you want to have a happy home life too. So,
Yep.
well, Rich, I just appreciate you taking the time to
Yeah.
share your story
Mhm.
and what you do and a little bit behind Consumers Energy with us. I thank you so much for being with us today. I'm going to end it right now with our students, but I'll keep you on just for a moment after I stop the recording. So thank you all for joining us today. Really appreciate it. Again, you'll be able to find this recording on our Google site or on the YouTube channel with the ISD if you want to view it later. So thank you so much. Have a great day.